Alright, so for everybody who doesn't know, this is my 71 Cutlass with a 6-liter LS motor. I've been updating pictures on my LS Solutions Facebook page here the last couple months, but everybody sees them and doesn't really know what's going on here, so I'll give you a quick rundown of what we got going on here and how it all works together. The motor is a 36,000 mile 2005 takeout from a Chevy Silverado 2500. It's a 6-liter, stock bottom end. It has the stock 317 cylinder heads on it. It does have ARP rod bolts and a couple little upgrades, valve train, cam. It's got Patriot Gold valve springs in it. Just things like that, just your basic bolt-ons for a high RPM LS motor. The intake's a Victor Jr. It's got a intake elbow there by Aaron's. It's got a 90mm fast throttle body and 65-pound injectors. The transmission in the car is factory 4L80 that came out of the donor truck. It's got a 9-inch 2800 stall converter in it and a 1350 slip yoke in the back from Denny's drive shaft. It's got a 4-inch steel drive shaft from Weller Truck Parts and a 8.5-inch 10-bolt rear end that was stocked to the Oldsmobile here. I'll stand back so you guys can see the whole car. I do have a hood for it. It's just easier working on it without the hood on. For the brakes, I upgraded to a Hydro Boost system. This is out of a Astrovan from the early 90s. The master cylinder is from a older Vet that had 4-wheel disc brakes. The lines are all new. They're stainless replacements from inline tube. Down in the wheels, you can see we have some pretty massive disc brakes. Those are actually 13-inch rotors on the front, and on the back we have 11-inch discs. And the wheels and tires are American Racing Torque Thrust M's and BFG Sport TAs. For the suspension in the front, pretty much all factory, with the exception of the bushing, sway bar. It's got billet hubs on it for the brakes. Just simple stuff up front. Got a quick ratio steering box. In back, we've got UMI tubular bars. Can't see them. Got a big sway bar upgrade in the back, and that's probably about it. It rides on iBox springs, ST sway bars, and it's got all, like I said, UMI arms in it and energy suspension bushings. The turbo, it's kind of the point of all this. It's a 76mm master power. I polished the scroll side here. It is a .72 AR, and it feeds into a big air-to-air intercooler in front of the radiator. You can see my discharge pipe there going down. Let me get you around. There you go. You can see it going underneath the radiator. We'll step to the radiator in a minute here. It's a Griffin single row aluminum radiator, stock replacement for an A body. But if we come underneath the front of the car, you can see where the charge pipe there goes up into the intercooler, and the outlet is right there, and that just curves up. I got a Race Parts Solution 50mm blow-off valve placed right there. It comes up through mandrel bent piping right into the throttle body. The exhaust is pretty simple, actually. We just have a 2002 F-body Camaro exhaust manifold. You can barely see the wastegate down there, but it loops underneath the torque converter inspection cover, and I clearance that to get road clearance for the pipe to go underneath. You can't see it here, but it comes up and it meets the back of this other manifold, which is from KB Racing. It's custom made piece, the log manifold, and it turns up to provide your base for your turbocharger. So the turbocharger sits nice and neat right here. You can see it's well insulated to keep it from melting the plastic parts that are around it and the heater hoses and whatnot. The downpipe is just 3-inch mild steel. It goes underneath the car and it ends right by the tail shaft housing of the transmission. I don't have full exhaust on it yet, it's still a work in progress. The fuel system, out and back there's a tank from Spectre Enterprise. It is a EFI tank. However, I've upgraded the pump inside to a Walbro 255, and I'll probably have to upgrade it to a Aeromotive Stealth 340 here eventually once this thing gets running and gets on the street. For the regulator, you just got an Aeromotive EFI bypass regulator here, -6 push lock Aeroquip hoses, and the Edelbrock fuel lines that come with the Victor intake. For electrical, this is kind of a work in progress too. The fuse block here is out of a Chevy Lumina. The ECM is tucked up inside the fender well, batteries in the stock location, and I've used Deutsch connectors here to isolate the intake manifold wiring from the rest of the wire harness to do intake manifold swaps easily, or to pull the intake manifold off if I need to for some reason. These connectors are really nice, just a circular military style connector. You just grab a hold of it, you twist it, and it comes right off. Of course, this one's going to be stubborn. Just like that. You can see there's pins in there. You got the female side here, male side here. When it gets time to put it all back together, you just line up your marks, you engage it, twist it, and lock it. Same thing holds true for the disconnect for the main chassis harness to the fuse block. And we also have some GM Delphi style MetroPack connectors here, isolating some of the parts of the main harness to the car. Go to the inside of the car here, nothing really to see other than a mess of wiring that I'm still working on. As you can see underneath, actually you can't see that well, underneath all the wiring is tied up and held up neatly, or it will be, but everything is grounded through MetroPack bus bars that go right to the ground, and then MetroPack connectors as well. So we'll step outside here. I'll fire this thing up for you. I wanted to show you first though the response of how this car will start in the dead of winter. What I'll do is I'll take my hand and I'll set it right here on the cylinder head so you know that this car is cold. It has not been started prior to this video. And we'll look over here, over on my my thermometer. You can see it's about 46 degrees right here. That's because the pilot light is exhausting right above it. I moved it over when I first got out here and it's actually about 36 degrees. So this car has not been started in probably 2 weeks now. So let's fire up, see how she runs. It's going to idle a little high first, but that's alright. Again, this is built and tuned by me at LS Solutions. There is not a good tune in it per se. It's just a tune to get the thing started and to start doing some tuning and moving around the shop if I need to. So let's fire this thing up here. If you listen, you can hear the fuel pump. It'll prime like a normal late model car will. Here we got fuel pressure. Let's fire her up. Alright folks, there you have it. This is the Cutlass, just about Christmas time in 2012. We got all winter to work on her, so I'm going to button up some of the loose ends and hopefully get it done and ready to go for spring and summertime next year. It's been 2 years in the making. It's time to get this thing on the road, so I'm going to get out of here and start wrenching. See ya.